on my 14th birthday, I ended up in trouble and with the law, and I was house arrest for 4 years until I was 18. Mm-hmm. And not many school wanted me as a student, and I had to make a decision of what I wanted to do in my life. And talking with my parents, I decided to go to cooking school.
Welcome back to the podcast. Thanks so much for being with me. Today's guest is Gregoire Jacquet, a French-trained chef from the Loire Valley who came to this country and developed his experience working as a banquet chef and was mentored and worked for the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Group and suddenly fell in love with San Francisco after traveling the world and applying his craft in many different opportunities, fell in love with the San Francisco area and opened a restaurant called Gregoire. And it's so unique because it's offering what he calls fine dining fast casual, which to the casual observer is not what you would think of at first, but locally sourced fresh ingredients using French cooking techniques and offering really nice upscale sandwiches and salads and sweets. And we can't forget the signature potato puff. There's a story in here about a unique failed experiment that turned into their most famous and successful dish, which has now been trademarked, and that is the foundation for a soon-to-be fast-growing and successful franchise model. So you're not going to want to miss this episode. It's all about Gregoire and all the opportunities that lie ahead in the restaurant space. We talk about all the current challenges, of course, and this episode has it all. Thanks to our sponsors this week as well, and thanks to our audience for tuning in. So on with the episode.
You're tuned in to the Restaurant Rockstars Podcast. Powerful ideas to rock your restaurant. Here's your host, Roger Beaudoin.
I've always believed in systems to run a really effective restaurant. They say you have a system if you can walk away and leave your place for a day, a week, or a month, and it's just as successful, just as profitable when you return, if not more so. Now, the staff are really the foundation of this, and it all comes down to the word empowerment. You know, if you've got really great people and if you can develop those people to have your back, and to run it as if they owned it, treat everything as if they had to pay for it, that's a super powerful system. Once you have the staff in place, it really comes down to three things. It comes down to 1, staff training, development, recognition, and rewards to create what I call your dream team. How to empower your team to think and act like owners and to treat everything as if they owned it and had to pay for it. And to deliver amazing guest service experiences to your customers. To serve and sell, because sales are the lifeblood of your business. Not allowing order takers on the floor, but teaching everyone to recognize opportunities and make suggestions that we know the customers will enjoy and appreciate. It all comes down to training. Number 2, cost controls and maximizing profit. You need to know your critical financial numbers on a weekly basis, and it only takes 10 minutes, but you need to understand these things. How about your daily break even? How much it costs you to open the doors to your restaurant each day? Inventory is not just walking around and figuring out what your order is that week. It's knowing the true value of your goods on hand at any given point in time, and you need this information to be able to calculate your true food and beverage costs. Your labor costs are also important, and running a weekly labor analysis against sales. If you know these things, I can teach you how to maximize your profit and control your costs. And then number 3 is what I call marketing firepower and affinity. You know, affinity is defined as a really powerful sense of loyalty and belonging where your customers become raving fans and they're like an army of brand ambassadors spreading the word for your restaurant. Well, all of this is included in the Restaurant Rockstars Academy. If you really want to take your restaurant to the next level, post-pandemic, things are heating up, customers are coming back. Now's the time to really maximize your opportunities, maximize your sales and profits, and create that dream team staff. Check it out at restaurantrockstars.com. It's the Restaurant Rockstars Academy.
There are many elements to consider when growing your restaurant. Are you connecting with diners enough and with the right message? Could your kitchen be putting out more orders than your dining areas have room for? Well, it can be overwhelming, especially when the reason you got into this business is for the food and the people. That's why restaurants get Pop Menu. Pop Menu is the marketing tech platform designed to make growing your restaurant easy, so you don't have to grow it alone. With Pop Menu, you can capture more guests and their preferences through your restaurant's website that's designed to easily collect contact information and data so you can see what your guests love and why they dine with you. Connect and build authentic relationships with guests by using modern technology that personalizes marketing. Make all your systems work better together, improve margins, and conquer the chaos of your restaurant's digital presence. Pop Menu has a special offer for my listeners. For a limited time, get $100 off your first month, plus lock in one unchanging monthly rate at popmenu.com/rockstars. Go now to get $100 off your first month at popmenu.com/rockstar.
Hey, Gregoire, welcome to the show. This is going to be such an exciting show because you've got such an interesting story. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being on your show as well.
Well, you've got a really interesting story in so many ways. Everything about what you're doing is really unique and different in this business. So I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you.
So where does it all begin? Were you born in France? I mean, tell us your history and tell us about cooking, and you're a chef. I want to know the whole story. Like, how far back does it go, and what were your early inspirations, and did it begin in France? Are you classically trained? Tell us everything.
Yeah, so it's going to be a long story.
Please.
Because I'm pretty old. I'm 54. But anyway, it started, so 54 years ago. I was born in Versailles, France, and my parents lived in that city of Versailles. Well, actually, it was next to Versailles. It's called Bailly, and we lived there for 6 years until they decided that the city life was not good enough for us. They wanted another story, and they moved to the country. I mean, when I'm talking about the country, it was the Loire Valley, small village of 80 people, really the country. It was not a farm, but we were really around farming a lot. And we had a huge garden. We had pigeon, rabbits, dogs. I mean, it was really a change of life for my parents. And we were really, my dad was a car salesman. And so he was gone a lot. And so my mom would just raise us, 3 boys. It was a city called Grazé, and she was growing all type of vegetables and cooking all the time. I mean, the good French life, the bread and the cheese and
I love
the good
that
food.
Yes,
yeah,
and the wines, of course, because Loire
That's
Valley
right.
is famous for wines as well.
Yes,
it's a region.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I guess my geography, it's been a long time since I, took French in high school and all that sort of thing. But Loire Valley, is that different from like Bordeaux and some of those famous, wine areas?
Well, I mean, it's like comparing Sonoma to Napa. They're very close, but they're very different in many ways. There's not as much sun than the south of France. Definitely rains more.
Yeah.
In the Loire Valley, the grapes they're different, and life is different. We have a bunch of cheeses that are different. It's a lot of cows, so a lot of milk, dairy product. A lot of we do a lot of apples. So Calvados is one of the the drink of choice for the alcoholics, and we do we. When we lived in France, in Grazé, it was really all about the product and all about the farms and why we could get around, because my parents were not very rich, so we were doing everything by hand, and so it was fun. It was fun.
And you learned quite a bit, which you now apply to everything you're doing, obviously. But it's such, it's so steeped in history. Agriculture in France and farming and all the different products and how fresh everything is, and what you do with the sun and the climate and the rain and
Totally.
Like you said, it's specific to certain products. And now that's an influence in you using local vendors for your fresh ingredients, and you've got an upscale menu. But we'll get to that. Let's continue with your story in France, because this is awesome.
Yes. So I mean, I really didn't. I mean, my love of food started really young. Looking at my mom cooking in the kitchen, asking me for help, and me doing my own stuff like birthday cakes, and we never went out, so I didn't know even restaurant life existed. because we always ate home, good food. And it happens when I was when I was 10 years old. The city invited all the people in the, it's like every 10 years, like I was 10 and then 20 and then 40 and 30, they invite the people for a party. Okay. And for the first time in my life, I went to a restaurant and I thought it was so cool. I was I was like so many people, and it's like, oh, I have to, I have to get inside of that. I want to cook for that many people too.
Fantastic.
And that's where really I learned that it was a job. It was really something I could do in my life.
A career aspiration, even at that
Yes.
age, right? You saw it as something you wanted to be part of,
Yes.
and you wanted to immerse yourself not only in the food, but the culture and the whole spirit of
Yes.
cooking. And I don't
Yes.
mean to answer your own question, but this is coming through loud and clear, and it's really inspiring because this is a business of passion, and it's a business that literally brings people of all cultures together because, it unites people in an otherwise
Yeah.
divided world. And wow, this is beautiful. So keep going. Yeah, this is
No,
great.
that was really the moment.
Yep.
And growing up in a small city, I mean, I guess like everywhere else, there's good things and there's bad things. My parents were not very, all over us because we were just going all over the place, and I had a moped and bicycles. So, and on my 14th birthday, I ended up in trouble and with the law, and I was house arrest for 4 years until I was 18.
Mhm.
And not many school wanted me as a student, and I had to make a decision of what I wanted to do in my life. And talking with my parents, I decided to go to cooking school. And so we found a cooking school next to our city where I could go 2 weeks in learning at the school, and then 2 weeks learning at the restaurant. So that was really the moment where I started learning how to cook.
So this particular cooking school, I want to talk about French cuisine because there's so much to French cooking and the ins and outs of it. And I'm going to ask you that question, but this particular cooking school, was it focused on French cuisine? Did it expose you to other cuisines from other countries, or was it French specific? Because, we think of classically trained French chefs as being fully immersed in the French culture and the wines and the sauces and everything that's special about French cooking. But to go to cooking school means you can travel anywhere in the world, and obviously you're going to be influenced by French cooking, but sometimes there are fusions that blend different cuisines together that's inspired by French, or maybe the base is French, but then it adds Mediterranean, or where I'm
Yes.
going with this. What
Yeah,
did you
yeah,
learn
of course.
things, or
Well,
was it really focused on French cuisine?
in France, the government has set up examen, so people learn the basic of French cooking or cooking in general. I mean, it's French cooking just because we're in France, but it's really the basic: how to make a stock, how to make a bechamel, how to make a mayonnaise, how to make all those techniques that we learned, and it's the base of French cooking. So this is what we learn. We don't learn how to cook; we learn how to use our techniques.
Techniques. Okay.
Yes, knife techniques and all types of techniques.
How long was that program? How long were you in cooking school?
About 3-4 years.
3 to 4. Okay.
It was 2 exams. It was a CAP, which is the first exam you pass, and a BEP, which is the second exam. That's a little bit higher. And I passed both of them, flying colors, because I love to do it. So yeah. And so I was released I was 18. I had both diplomas, and I was ready to go in the world.
May I ask you, we're just about finished with cooking school, but you're running a business now. Did you learn any business skills in this particular cooking program? Costing out menus and the importance of running that business aspect, not just, okay, I've got culinary skills and I can make amazing dishes and people are going to love my menu. But if I ever want to open my own restaurant someday, I need to know all these other elements that go into running a business, not just being a culinarian. was that part of the program, or did you have to find that out later in another way?
Yeah, no, as I said, I was a terrible child. And I mean, if I had decided to go in a specialized cooking school just for cooking school, that would have been, probably what I would have learned as well. But
Okay.
being a bad kid, I was the only spot I could get into cooking was a school that was not specialized in cooking. It was specialized in rural activities.
Yes.
And they were finishing young girls to become good housewife. And because of the lack of farmers, I mean, it was diminuing. It's getting smaller and smaller. They found another way to make money, and that was by cooking. So I learned about running a farm more than running a restaurant.
Gotcha. Okay, so that all came later.
Yes.
When did you move to the United States, or what came next once you finished that 3 or 4 year program?
So I did a 3 months stint in Courchevel in the south of France in a
ski
hotel.
resort and climbing area. I'm familiar with Courchevel.
Yes. Yeah, it's beautiful, and it was a high-end hotel, really high-end, but it didn't work with me. I was too wild, and after 4 years of house arrest, I was not I wanted to have fun, so I moved on from that spot to go to Paris, where a friend of mine asked me if I wanted to work with him, and so I went to Paris, and that's where everything kind of began for me. In the cooking life, the guy was the chef, was a chef from the Pavillon Élysée Le Nôtre, which was it's probably is still a two-star Michelin restaurant, and he was really good, and I learned so much from him. And
wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow. So would you call yourself an apprentice at that point? Did you apprentice under this person?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
and he was a mentor to you?
Yeah, it's not my first mentor, but he was someone that really I could look up to, after all those years of being a bad kid. So it was good. Yeah.
Set you on the path. That's
Yes.
perfect. Okay.
Yes.
So what came next?
No, so the restaurant we were working at, I was working at, was an American restaurant. I mean, it was a French restaurant, but the waiter were Americans, and they were singing, and they were delivering the food to the table, and we were cooking the French food. And I met some friends, and they invited me to the US, and I went on vacation to the US in 1989. I came here to San Francisco, where we're based now, and I never left. It was simple as that.
Yeah, this is the place for me. It's so vibrant and exciting. I mean, San Francisco has such a huge food scene. It's like one of the world's great food cities. No question about that. Any type of cuisine from anywhere in the world, and you're finding it. And obviously, Berkeley, being a suburb in the Bay Area, of course, has its own scene. And now, okay, so you never left. When did you get the idea to start your own restaurant? When did that happen?
Oh, well, actually,
in France. I mean, it went way back. Like someday I want to have my own place. Or when did this come to you?
I never wanted to open a restaurant. Oh. Never. I was very comfortable working for somebody. I mean, as I said, I worked when I came to the US. I worked for a French master chef called Jacques Robert, also really famous. And I worked for him for 5 years. I went from starting and not speaking English to running the kitchen, and then after a while, I knew I was not really good at certain things, and for instance, managing people, understanding the business, and I was good at cooking, but not managing. So I asked him if I could go work for the Ritz-Carlton in the city, because of all the management technique that they have. That was really interesting to me. And after 6 months of waiting, he got me a job as a banquet chef, which was it was amazing learning how to cook for a lot of people. It's I think something that every chef should know. It's major.
It's a whole nother skill set, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So you've got a well-rounded skill set at this point.
Yes.
5 years there. Boy,
7 years for the Ritz-Carlton.
7 more years. Okay. Yep.
7 more years for the Ritz-Carlton, where I was executive sous chef. I traveled a lot in the world, Asia, the US too. I went to Boston. I went to Jamaica. I went to the Caribbeans. I ran a hotel in Puerto Rico to the Ritz-Carlton there. So,
well, there's that point again. I mean, with this skill set, and this is just obviously to our audience, but our audience are owners and general managers and operators of all kinds in the hospitality industry, but their staff can literally take these skills, go anywhere in the world. This is a business where you don't necessarily need a formal education. You need a passion for what you're doing. You need to learn from others and be mentored, immerse yourself in the culture of food. And whether you're a bartender or a server or anything in this business, or a culinarian or a chef, take you anywhere and do amazing things. And you're an example of that. It almost sounded like you're in the Navy for a minute. It's like, I see the world.
Yes. No,
you've been around and you've seen a lot of things. Yeah.
You got it right, Roger. I advise all my cooks, to at least stay 1 year in a place and then move around, because, you learn so much by doing things in this business, and you have to travel. You have to go, and don't be afraid to just take a plane ticket and go work somewhere else if you can.
So where did the idea for Gregoire come from? I mean, that was 2002, right? You founded in 2002?
Yes, correct. 2002. So
you finished Ritz-Carlton. How?
Yeah. So, I mean, the transition, Ritz-Carlton, exceeding the Ritz-Carlton was really the key factor. We wanted to build a family, my wife and I, because, she came in between all that. So that's also part of the life of a restaurant, owner. So my wife and I decided to have a family and we were at the Ritz in Puerto Rico, and I asked them to move me back to the US because I didn't want to do all this in Puerto Rico. That I wanted to be in mainland with my in-laws and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they refused to do it just because they wanted me. They had another agenda for me. They wanted me to do this and that, so I quit. I just said I'm going back home. And we had a home here in Berkeley, California. We had a house waiting for us. So it was just a natural progression to open something, because I didn't want to work for anybody else. And with my experience all these years in the kitchen and in the front, knowing people, I never really connected with anybody in the front of the house, which kitchen and front of the house, they're always and I felt like my talents was not just in the kitchen, but also with talking to people and connecting with customers, and I really loved that. So I put 2 and 2 together and I created Gregoire, which is really a takeout place, which is a kitchen. You walk in, you talk to the chefs, you talk to the cooks. You can really understand the food and talk about the food. And you take your food and you go eat it where you want, at home or in the park or on the bench in the front of the restaurant, wherever you want.
Let me introduce you to GoTab. GoTab is a restaurant commerce platform with a suite of solutions, including POS, online ordering, mobile pay, and even a kitchen management tool. Now, I'm all about maximizing sales, but did you know that operators using the GoTab platform see 35 to 50% higher check averages and 20% higher tips? Now, that can be a real game changer for your bottom line. The GoTab platform empowers you, the operator, to run a leaner and more profitable operation. Listen to what GoTab customers have to say. Kent says with real-time analytics, we can manage our plate cost. When we switched to GoTab, we were able to lower labor cost and increase wages. Ian shares that our chefs and managers love to use GoTab. The back end is well thought out, intuitive, and easy to use. While Keem adds that the GoTab team is always available for us and extremely responsive. GoTab's flexible, easy-to-use solutions will simplify your operations, putting you in control of your restaurant's success. Visit gotab.com/rockstars today to sign up for a free demo and get qualified to receive a complimentary meal. Again, that's gotab.com/rockstars.
Listen, you've heard a lot of noise about the ERC tax credit. Why is it such a big deal? Because your business already paid a ton of money in payroll taxes, and more than likely, you qualify to get a ton of money back. Now, if you haven't applied yet, I'm telling you, drop everything, drop what you're doing, and figure out how to get it done. The truth is, and I'm speaking from experience here, it's super easy to get the money back if you let an expert do the work for you. Now get on this before the government either changes the program or runs out of money. I got hundreds of thousands of dollars back from my restaurant, and it literally saved our business. Now, you may have heard it may take many months after applying to get your money back, but that doesn't have to be the case. If you need your ERC refund sooner to run your business or to take care of some much-needed projects, you can speak with Karen Garbett, the owner of Verge Funding Group, about a bridge loan or other working capital. Now, whether you wait for your check, opt for a bridge loan, or other working capital, it's likely you have a significant amount of money due back to you, so don't lose it. Now go to the show notes for this episode on our website and use Karen's calendar link to set up a time to chat with her personally about how much money your business can get back.
So that's basically Gregoire came in.
Okay, well, wonderful. Well, you kind of call it a fine dining, fast casual restaurant. And when most people think of quick serve or fast casual, it's not elaborate food, but you're obviously putting out really nice sandwiches and salads and sweets and that sort of thing. And then you invented the potato puff, which we're going to get to, and that's a story unto itself. But I guess the tagline was gourmet to go. You're offering really nice foods where you can walk in and order it, or you can take something out. And like you said, you can eat it outside the restaurant. You can eat it in the park or whatever, but it's not your typical fast food. It's created with flair and with skill and obviously with love and passion. And you're using locally sourced ingredients, I understand. So is it a farmer's market? Do you have relationships with different, local vendors? Like, tell us about that.
Well, it first started years ago, 20 years ago. It was unheard of to do such a thing, and yes, I went to farmer at the beginning. I went to farmers market. I made relationship with farmers, and to get the right product of course it evolved. Now that we're much busier, and you have to organize your business in function of that. But I still have a lot of farmer coming to me, not me going to them. So this is really the change. My vegetable farmer. We've been doing business for 20 years together, actually. And I used to work with that same farm when I came to the US in 1989. So it goes a long way. Same for my meat provider. I used to do business with them in 1989, and I still have them as of today. So it's all about relationship. It's all about quality of product and having people know what you want and what to expect from them. So it's really the base of our business.
Do you have help in the kitchen? Like, you've got a relatively small footprint, which is perfect for this franchising model that we're going to talk about also, which requires relatively few staff. So it's a simple concept that's offering a nice upscale product. Are you doing most of the food preparation and cooking yourself? Do you have are you mentoring someone else to do what you do that has similar skill sets? I mean, tell us about that, because again, we have a franchise idea and we want to duplicate what you're doing here and make sure the consistency is there, because your model is really the Bay Area, from Santa Cruz to obviously San Francisco and Napa and Sonoma and all this kind of stuff. And then you have bigger aspirations to move across the country. But tell us about what's required to reproduce the foods that you're offering right now, and if you're training other people to do what you do with similar skill sets.
Yeah, so I mean, the good thing with Gregoire, and it's really the base of this model is a high-end product, high-end techniques, and it is difficult to find good help right now. I've been very lucky because the people I have have been with me for 20 years now, but 15 years and
that's
13 years, 8 years. So that's, it's a good thing, but still, you need to find those people that have the ability to cook. The yes, we do all the preparation at the restaurant at this time. Okay, and using all those French techniques, and this is why we for the franchise we decided that we were going to do the all the cooking, all the preparations, just like we do now, and we will sell all the product already processed, all the preparation done, and portioned to the franchises. So we'll have a central kitchen. We'll call it a culinary hub.
Yes,
And
commissary type kitchen.
That's right, and we'll have all those highly trained chefs to work there.
Beautiful.
To answer your question, I don't work in a kitchen anymore for a while.
Oh, okay.
I train people. I learn how to train people at the Ritz, and I pass it along to my business. Yes, I don't work that much anymore at Gregoire. Probably 5 to 10 hours a week now.
Terrific. That's an exit strategy. There's a lot of operators that are trying to systemize their business so that they can do what you do. So I think that's tremendous advice. So you obviously worked on this business. You don't work in it much anymore, but now you've created the framework so that others can duplicate what you're doing, and you're going to have that big picture kind of at 30,000 feet. Yeah. Okay.
That's
perfect.
Correct.
That's great.
Yes.
So have you found any problems with cost of goods have gone kind of crazy, and it's been very volatile since the pandemic, but you've got these long-standing relationships with the local vendors and farmers and that sort of thing. But obviously there are things beyond their control. Their costs go up. They've got to pass that on. Have you had many issues with rising costs when it comes to your goods you buy?
Yeah, of course, like everyone else. The good thing in some ways, there's no, because I deal direct with the farmers, there's nobody in between. So it's really fast. It's really correct. It's really clean. If he raises his price, he raises this price for me, and it is just really straightforward. I have tools at the restaurant. We have tools that collect all the data from all the pricing and the quantities. So it's very important. I'm a data kind of guy. Working at the Ritz, I like numbers. So I implemented all those tools. We know food cost to the minute. We know exactly how much money we spend daily on food, and it's got to be this way.
Let's talk about economies of scale. We're going to get into the franchise in a little bit. I don't want to go too deep into that just yet, but the first thing that comes to mind is you've got relationships with local vendors, and traditionally they're going to be more expensive because they don't have the buying power and the economies of scale. But now you're going to have more buying power as your franchise model grows, and you're going to be buying more product that's then going to go to the commissary kitchen and all that sort of thing. Will they be able to offer more volume, discounts for you to purchase more in bulk than you're currently doing now as you continue to grow? You've already had those discussions. They know this is coming, right? And they can handle the volume too.
Totally. They have no problem. I talk to my farmer, my meat people. They're ready for the growth.
Excited
definitely.
For the growth.
As I said, it's a relationship, so we're really open. We're really clean into the way we talk to each other. I don't want to rip them off. I don't want to rip off anybody. I want them to make money. I want them to stay in business.
Relationship. It's a win-win. Everyone should make money and be happy with the relationship.
Yes.
Right. And
sounds like and it's been working for 20 years. So they're really happy. We're growing.
This is the beautiful story so far. So we know about the menu and the food, and obviously you put a lot of love into it, and it's upscale and whatnot. Well, how would you describe, if I walk through the door right now of Gregoire, and I've never been in for the very first time, let's talk about the ambiance. Are you playing, French music in the background? Is it setting the stage for the experience before I actually order the food? What's it like inside?
No, it's really down to earth. I'm not a complicated guy. I like things to be simple. The food is simple. It's not complicated. Yes, we use really high-end techniques, but the food in itself is very simple. There's few ingredients, good ones, so the result is great. When it comes to the look, we are not really we're not focused on wowing people with the way we look. I want them to come in and to have only one thing in mind. It's the experience with the food that they have and the service. So we're not trying to flash them with designs of restaurants and all this stuff that doesn't mean anything really to the environment that we want to create.
So I'm hearing genuine and authentic.
Totally.
And it mirrors who you are as a person and the experience that you want to offer. Okay, so let's talk about the service. How do you train your people in hospitality, and what type of service can we expect when we walk through the door? Besides friendly and personable, obviously product knowledge is important, and people ask questions all the time, and your people have to be knowledgeable. They have to be personable and be conversationalist, but still be efficiently serving people. So you've had people for a long, long time, so they obviously have a passion for what they're doing too, and hospitality is at sort of the foundation of that.
Yeah, I mean, it starts at hiring,
Mm-hmm.
I always talk to the first hire. I always talk to them, and I want to make sure they have the same. I want to make sure they are nice people, just nice people that care for other people. They don't have to have talents, they don't have to have anything, but just nice and genuine, and that'll come through the service. I mean, when you come to Gregoire, I want the customer to feel like they're coming into their own kitchen. They're coming to their own family. I mean, so I don't want them to be complicated. My employees, I want them to be just like who they are, and I want them to be robots. I want them to care. Just that's it. Because I want them to treat the customer like their own family, their own. I want to come and feed you and make you happy.
Yeah.
So that's basically the feeling I want to give.
Well, I ran restaurants for 23 years, and that's exactly what my approach was. We always said we can train for experience, but we cannot train for the passion for the business and the personality of the people. They either have that special, you can just tell that they really like meeting new people and making friends for the restaurant, and they like immersing themselves in that culture and camaraderie of restaurants, because restaurants are fun places to work. But the spirit and the culture of the place determines whether you fit or you don't fit. So I totally agree with your approach there.
When I opened Gregoire, what I wanted, I mean, it started with me, a cashier, and a cook. That's it. So 3 people working in the kitchen 6 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted Gregoire to be really the neighborhood restaurant where people feel like they can come in, order their food, and the food would be different, seasonally, or and so this is what I achieve, and this is what I want to achieve all over the country. Places where people can come and feel like they're home, feel like they know the owner, they know the employees, everybody knows them. And that's what happened here at Gregoire. Beautiful. Because of this feeling of family oriented feeling.
Well, that's what it is. And now you're talking about culture. And yes, every business has sort of a mission statement and what we believe in, but culture goes beyond that. It's what you're creating, that everybody is on the same page, working toward the same goal, and everyone just likes working together. And it feels more like family than a bunch of employees. And it sounds like that's what you've achieved. So that's your culture. Oh, that's tremendous. Yes. So you stumbled on this idea, right, by accident. Tell us about the potato puff, because that's a fascinating story unto itself. And now that's a huge part of your future business model as well. So take us back. What happened?
Oh, so we have a recipe in France of potato. It's a nice potato. It's like a batter that you deep fry, and it's crispy outside, and it's kind of has some stuff inside, but the way they do it in France is just not. I never really liked them like that, but I was trying to recreate it for Gregoire when I read even before, because I was going to change the menu monthly, and I needed a lot of ideas. So I said, I'm going to make this potato, and I did it in my in-laws' house, and I just for them to try, and I made them, and they just didn't turn out the way the way the recipe worked. And I give it to them, and it's like, oh my God, this is so good. It's like, wow. And I'm like, well, but they're not the same, but maybe I have something there. So when I opened Gregoire, I had this potato that I had made, and I started doing it, and it's much more dense inside. It's much more, but it still has some kind of cloudy quality and crispy outside. And I was supposed to remove them the second month of the menu just because I changed my menu, and
Right.
people were like, no, you can't move that out. You can't. It's impossible. People were just becoming all crazy about it, and so I kept them all along. So it's been 20 years, 21 years.
So it was a failed experiment at first, but then you
Yes.
stumbled onto something that people loved. Did you instantly knew you had a hit, and you instantly wrote down exactly what you did to do that so that you could recreate it simply over and over and over again? And now that's like the master formula?
That's correct. That's correct. When I did them, I mean, I had it written down already, but I had made the calculation wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I had it down. So when I opened the restaurant, I knew the proportions, and I mean, not that. I mean, I like them much better than the stuff they do in France. But no, it is just very different. It's like mashed potato,
Yes.
basically, but it's crispy on the outside. So who doesn't like mashed potato, really?
Oh, I love mashed potatoes, especially when they're really buttery and even a little hint of garlic, which tells me, well, I understand that you've taken the original basic potato puff and now you've added other variations to it. Tell us about the variations.
So I've done many variation, but the most popular is the truffle oil variation, and people really like that. And the garlic and parsley variation it's butter, garlic, parsley, and we toast them around. And we also do Parmesan cheese, which seems to be the most popular. But I did lime, powder on it. I did barbecue. I did jalapeno. We experiment with a lot of potato puff flavors.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, again, you can see them on the website and they look really, really tasty. Now, do you have a dipping sauce or sauces that accompany the potato puff?
Yeah, we do. We change daily or every 2 days. We do well, you guys call it aioli, but we call it mayonnaise.
Aioli. I'm familiar with that.
It's a flavored mayonnaise. It's a corn oil based and mustard, and we flavor it with a bunch of ingredients. Sometimes it's barbecue sauce, or lemon or whole grain mustard flavor. I mean, we just go wild on this. It's really
Let me ask, was it, well, no, because obviously, this is what you do. You're a culinarian and you're a chef, but you mentioned that the original potato puff that was the better recipe that your in-laws loved was created like in their kitchen. So you obviously didn't have commercial cooking equipment. You didn't have a large scale fryer. And now you've got to make these things in bulk because the idea has really taken off.
Yes.
And now it's super popular. So again, when you're a chef, you can suddenly, well, you worked in the hotels for Ritz-Carlton and you were a banquet chef, so you know how to take one recipe and then feed hundreds with that recipe.
No,
right?
Yeah, it's a science. Actually,
And math.
it is a pretty difficult and long process to make potato puff. It's not an easy. It's easy to process. I mean, to make and to dip in the fryer because it's just a batter that you put in the fryer.
It in. Yeah.
But making it's quite a long process, and it's got a lot of hard little
nuances to it.
Nuance and techniques to do. Yeah,
Okay.
Not everyone can make them, truly.
Well, I guess that's a good thing. It's a competitive advantage. So did they take off? Were they an immediate hit? How did you introduce them at Gregoire? And did you do any marketing around it? Did you give people taste samples and then they're like, oh my God, I gotta, how did it take off?
It just by itself, word of mouth, I mean, a month after we got an article in the newspaper, and they started talking about the potato puff as being one of the best things they've ever had. And ever since that, people have been coming and ordering the potato puff. And I mean, we sell hundreds and hundreds a day.
That's beautiful.
But yeah, no, I don't do any marketing. And sometimes when people come to the restaurant and we have extra potato puff, we just say, oh, you haven't tried the potato puff, have some of that. But it's
everybody knows it now.
Yeah. But I have like right now I created a what you call it? It's a coupon. I mean, let's see this.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's a free potato puff that I'm going to hand out people. Well, you can't really see it, but this is. I came up with the idea. I mean, why not going around town and giving this little free potato puff card? Talk to people and say, "Oh yeah, I'm Gregoire, and I never tried Gregoire." So, oh well, there you go. I have a free potato puff on me, so they can come and get their order of potato puff.
Yeah, that's bringing me back to my restaurants because we had lots of what we called cash cows, and they were hooks, meaning they were catchy and they were very, very profitable to sell. They didn't cost a lot, but they had very high perceived value, and the smell and the taste and the presentation was such that you could charge a good amount on the menu, but they didn't cost much, so we could afford to give them away to build the business. Did this a long time ago.
Yeah.
And ours was garlic knots. We were a wood-fired pizzeria, and it was literally trimming of the pizza dough that we made ourselves. Brush it with a little bit of olive oil, sprinkle a little Parmesan and minced garlic on there. It bakes up in the oven. My cooks would tie them into knots, and then suddenly you've got a basket of these things with a homemade marinara dipping sauce.
Nice.
And like you, I mean, we sold thousands of these things,
Of course.
And we could give them away too, just to drive new traffic to the business. So I think, you're bringing me back because you're doing something similar. So you've trademarked this idea of the potato puff, and now you are home of the potato puff. What was that process like, and how long did it take? And did the official U.S. Patent and Trademark Office have to taste these things and recognize that there's something special here and that no one else should be able to hold that trademark?
Well,
how does that work?
We've been making potato puff for 21 years, so we are definitely the home of the potato puff. I mean, there's no doubt in anybody's mind.
Mm-hmm.
We started to really put the home of the potato puff on the map about 2 years ago when we focused on the franchise more.
Okay.
And the trademark of home of the potato puff came in about a year and a half ago. We started a year ago. I didn't think it was going to be possible to just trademark home of the potato puff. That's why I never really started. But I have a good lawyer in for the franchise, and he's also a trademark lawyer. And I said, "Can do you think we can do that?" And it's like, "I think so." And so it took a whole year to really have them. They didn't test the potato puff. They didn't. I don't know how they trademark names and stuff. It's like home of the Hooper, the Whooper. I mean, it's
Of
like,
course.
whoa, But they do their research, and they said, "Yeah, you can put a little R on it."
That's fantastic.
I know.
So there's a lesson here to the audience. I mean, a lot of restaurants that listen to us have their signature items and their signature specialties of the house. I mean, that's been going back as long as there's been restaurants, but unique names, unique processes, having those hooks that I call them that really set you apart from the competition it's just a way to get that buzz going in the marketplace and on online reviews and things going viral where they take pictures of the potato puffs and suddenly it's like on everybody's Facebook page and then it gets shared. And this is free marketing for your business. And we couldn't do that before there was an internet, and it was word of mouth. Like you said, word of mouth was always the most effective form of advertising that didn't cost anything. And you really need to play that up. And now there's an element of that. But now this whole, it's taken on a life of its own, I'm sure. And like you said, it's probably the most popular thing you sell. That's terrific. And I
Definitely.
love, are all the different variations really popular, or is the basic one the one that sells the most? But you said the truffle oil is really popular also.
Yeah. I mean, I think when people come first, they try the natural potato puff. And then they go different variations. So I have some people that do all three of them together.
Oh, so you can mix and match. You can get an order, and it's like I want 2 of the basic, and I want 2 of the truffle, and 2 of the Parmesan. Or okay,
I want one order with Parmesan, truffle, and garlic.
We do that.
Like the whole work. So I have a lot of people like this, but usually in general, it's mainly they're really good with the sauce. They're really good by themselves, and everybody loves them. Babies. I mean,
wow.
Oh yeah, but it's nothing to chew.
You break them, and they kind of melt in your mouth too, as well.
Oh yes,
probably. Yeah.
Oh yes, and they're dangerous off the fryer. They're so hot. They're molten hot, and people are they don't care. They don't care. They just pop them in, and it just burns them. But they love it. I mean,
So they're
go
best
figure.
served hot, obviously. Do they taste well cold? Like if you refrigerate your order, and then do people like to reheat them, or are they good cold as well?
I have some people coming to me and say, I want an order, and we eat half of it today, and then we put it in the fridge, and the next day they put it in the microwave, and they love it this way. So I mean, I can't think about having a potato puff the next day just because I eat them all.
I'm sure. Yeah, of course. Well, I'm sure a lot of people do. It's like you can't have
Yeah,
just one, right? It's like the
yeah.
potato chip. You can't have just one.
But I mean,
Yeah.
they you put them in the oven, they can be reheated, or I mean, I would advise to deep fry them again, just because twice deep fried things are not so good. But bake back in the oven, it's give them a new life. Yeah.
Do you have any aspirations? I mean, you've got your hands full, obviously creating and building out your franchise, and the growth model is going to take a lot of your bandwidth. But obviously, there's success stories like what you're talking about here that then suddenly gets put into supermarkets nationally. And now you've got something that's branded Gregoire that's the house cat
Yeah,
is part
that's
of,
good.
yeah,
No
the
worries.
Shah.
Yeah, I had to look them out because they would be on my lap right now. I
Well,
have a
this
dog and a
one,
cat, so
so do I. This one, well, this one likes to hang out in the studio sometimes, and it's funny. But
cute,
anyway, thank you.
cute.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so curious. I mean, do you ever see this working in the supermarket, or is it possible to freeze and reheat this product so that
Oh
it
yeah,
still retains the quality and the flavor
yeah.
profile and everything?
Long ago, it was about 2 years or 3 years after I opened Gregoire, I got
Mhm.
contacted by Lamb Wesson.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Yes, and after signing NDAs and all this and all that, they flew me over to their factory in Idaho, and they had me made a presentation to a whole bunch of executives at the factory. I made the corporate executive chef, and we worked together to do that presentation. I mean, I brought some batter from Berkeley to Idaho just because I don't have the mean to make it over there, and I didn't want to let them know how it's made. But we had talks about them taking over the potato puff, and so we tried many variation, frozen, flash frozen, and how they reheat, half cooked. Uh, for a whole day, we worked in the kitchen, and it was a beautiful product. I mean, it reheats well. It freezes well. So in the right circumstance, it could be tremendous. Yes, um, it, a deal didn't happen, which I am very happy it didn't, just because I wouldn't be the. I mean, I would be the home of the potato puff, but you know, it wouldn't be such a selling point for the franchise. Because the only way you can get it, it's through the franchise Gregoire
Of course.
restaurant.
Yeah.
So
It's unique to that, of course.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can say, it would not have been nice to see it in our supermarket 10 years ago, but I don't. The world was not ready, or I was not ready, and they were not ready. So, but that's good. That's good.
Sure. Timing is everything in life, and who knows what the future is and what the future holds. And you've got your plan and you're following it. And that's a beautiful
Yes,
thing.
and I know it works. I know it works in the freezer, and probably someday I'll take over this space as well. Who knows?
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
So when did the franchise idea come in? Is that a recent idea? Because that's a process unto itself as well. We talked about the trademark process being a year. Franchising is so much more involved. So tell us about the idea, when it happened, and what that process was like for you.
Well, making Gregoire bigger and having plan of growth started day one when we opened the door, just because of the uniqueness of the business,
Yeah.
and the way the response of the people. So it was nothing new. For 20 years now, I thought I would be all over the world. I just did not know how to. My business, I didn't go to business school. I didn't know. I'm a chef. I'm a cook. I'm an operation guy. So I knew I was going to grow, but a franchise came about 3 years ago. I started to really learn more about growth and about what would be the best way to grow. I always thought that Gregoire would be nice with a couple or a husband or a wife or a chef or someone with experience in the restaurant, and really owning that restaurant and giving themselves to the restaurant would be the best way. And so I think the franchise model was really the way to do that. But for me, franchise was not something Gregoire was or could be associated to, just because my experience in franchising was only McDonald's, and I didn't know, and I didn't want Gregoire to become such a organization. But by reading and by listening to podcasts and by listening and talking to a lot of people, I understood the franchise model much better than I knew it before. And I worked into creating a model of franchising that would really fit our brand. And that's when we came and did the central kitchen with different franchise where we would sell the product to the franchise. So consistency would be there, and they didn't have to invest in high paying chefs, and they could have a small staff and a small footprint, just like we have now.
So the franchise model obviously includes, royalty payments to the parent company, the franchisor versus the franchisee, and that includes support and marketing and training and all these things. But it all starts with having your foundational store really, really dialed in terms of the systems. And you mentioned, you know your food cost down to the second and all that kind of stuff. But this is something that they don't necessarily need to know because they're duplicating what you've already done, but they still need to run a business. They still need to deliver hospitality, a consistent product, and maintain, the other financials on the lease of their space. And do you help with all those things? I mean, what's the training program like? And tell us about that, because that's a key foundational element for someone else to be successful, so that your bigger franchise is successful and you don't have failures along the way.
Yes, no, it's very important. I mean, you buy the whole operation system of the restaurants, and we had to adjust Gregoire with the new franchise model, definitely, because Gregoire now we do all the preparation in the back. But when we start opening a franchise number one, we will have a central kitchen where we all do all this stuff. Now I hired a company, a great franchise company, iFranchise, that helped me really.
I've heard of that.
Dialed into how to do an operation manual that will help me work with the franchisee and support them. We also have a system called Frank Connect that connect all the franchise together with the franchisor that help from sales to opening to lease to royalty fees to, I mean, it really is very robust. And of course, by having the culinary hub close by to the restaurants, it's always like a phone call away or an hour, 2 hours away to get help. They can come to the culinary hub, or we can go to the restaurant. Actually, we'll go there every day to deliver food. So there's no franchise like it, that have really someone from corporate every day at your business to help you out.
So you've had professionals create the template and the framework that's easily followed, and then you've got a network that connects all your individual franchisees with yourself, and then the help and the support is there. That's tremendous. How many, I think I read somewhere, maybe it was on the website, that you're planning like 10 locations in the Bay Area before you start thinking about expansion elsewhere by end of, say, next year, right?
Yeah. Well, it's taking longer than I thought. I really need to find the right person. I mean, what I'm looking for is really someone that is very implanted in the neighborhood their business is going to be. They have to be a mini-me, they like to talk to people. I don't want them to be super chef. They don't have to have culinary experience at all.
Personality that's going to work with the customers and build the business and be a personality much like yourself, following your model. Well, that brings up another point. One of the big challenges in franchising is sometimes people think they have a better idea of doing things. And some franchises have some flexibility in new menu items. And if you run it by me, and if I think it'll work, we'll try it. And others are like, no, absolutely, you must stick to the strict formula. And this is what we offer. And there's no flexibility at all. Where do you fit into that?
So this is the best part of Gregoire. See, I mean, the Bay Area, I know, and I listen to the customers. You know, I didn't have many salads before. Now I have salads. I didn't have soup. Now I have soup. I mean, the business evolved and changed over the years. You know,
Yeah.
The best thing with our business is that we change the menu quarterly. Okay, so we can adapt to any palate, any situation, any area. So the business model in Los Angeles, we'll use product from Los Angeles, and we'll have, you know, sandwiches that people like in Los Angeles. Now in Florida, it'll be based more on the stuff that's based in Florida. And when we go to New York, we'll have, you know, stuff that is more from the New York area and the palette from the New York area. So this is why this franchise is really interesting, you know,
Yeah,
so we can, you know, tailor it to really your customers and your franchisees.
Yeah, local flavors and all that sort of thing and influences in different parts of the country are going to be important, provided the quality is there and you're using fine ingredients with those same techniques. So does that mean that when you start branching outside of California or even Los Angeles and then Florida, New York, Texas, all these ideas that you'll need additional commissary kitchens to then serve those markets?
That is correct.
And you'll duplicate all of that in new regions of the country.
Yes, and this is why, you know, you asked me earlier, you said, you know, it's going to take you 10 restaurants and to be able to build somewhere else. Yeah, because we want to make sure that the model we have here works and makes money for the franchisee. Mm-hmm. Okay, I know it makes money for me, but I want to make sure it makes money from the franchisee, for a franchise partner. Okay. That culinary hub will be duplicable, you know, to other market and using other product from other markets. Yes.
Well, this is tremendous. This has been a great story. Let me ask you my last question. My wife and I have sort of gotten really into that Netflix show, The Bear. Have you seen it? Have you watched it?
You know, I looked at the first one. I watched it, and it's over the top. It really is over the top. I mean, life is not like that. And I mean, there is some similarity, but it's all exaggerated to make viewers watch more.
Of course.
So
there's drama and there's hot tempers and there's all kinds of crazy stuff happening. Partially true, partially not. Yep.
Yeah. No, I mean, okay. So yes, you know, all this happened. It's all true, but not in one place. You know, you have a hot chef in one place that has something crazy. You have things happening in another place, but they took all these wild stories and put it all in one restaurant. It doesn't make sense, you know. I mean, so I've lived all this, you know. I did and more. I've done so much stuff. I mean, 40 years of cooking and sharing and training. So yes, it all happens. It's all true, but not in one show.
It's interesting in that I'm completely surprised because we watched all of season one. And as you know, and as many of our audience knows, it was, you know, a real chef that tried to professionalize a local sandwich shop in Chicago and all the crazy stuff that he inherited because his brother that died that owned this shop didn't have any of the systems in place. And it was kind of chaos. And they were, you know, it was not an upscale menu by any means, but now he's trying to make it a professional environment and everybody calls each other chef and all that. And that's what I thought the series was going to be. And now season 2, you may or may not be aware that they're actually turning it into a fine dining operation. And he sent these people to like cooking school. He sent one guy to Belgium to learn how to make desserts. And he sent 2 of his cooks to like cooking school where everything's buttoned up. And it's unbelievable. And now they're trying to go for Michelin stars, I guess. So it's kind of an evolving story, but
it is true. It is, I mean, somewhat, I mean, like I said, you know, it's all in one show, but
yeah,
restaurant and restaurateur, they have to involve their people. They have to invest in their people. They have to give them the tools to learn more if they want to be better, you know, and And so in some way, yes, they'll send this, some send their people in other businesses to learn. It's very true. But, like I said, it's one show, and to make the thrill of it.
Those of us that are in the industry, I mean, we may find it comical, we may find it entertaining, but I had to check it out just because, I'm passionate about the business, and I find everything that you find as well. And sure, there are unrealistic aspects to it, but it's pretty popular right now.
Yes. No, it's entertaining. It's entertaining.
Oh, you know what? The last thing I want to ask is you're obviously working specifically on your franchise model, but you've got a referral incentive for people to refer some franchise deals that actually close. Do you want to talk about that in closing?
Yes. So
tell us about that.
The fee is in order to sign into a franchise, the fee is $40,000. Mm-hmm. When you deal with brokers, when you deal with people that find franchise, you have to pay them that. You have to pay them $20,000-$30,000, some
of course
crazy amount of money. I'm for the people. See, I like my community, and I want to reward my community before anything else. And if my community knows about somebody that want to open a franchise, or that it's interested to open a franchise, we are willing to give them that portion of the fee that we get, because it's better it goes to them than it goes to a broker or to someone that really doesn't have an affinity with the business. So if you know someone and your customers, you've seen that, and you will give you $10,000 straight up if your referral sign a deal for one restaurant, and if they sign for two, you get $20,000. Every time they open a restaurant, you'll get a referral fee.
That's not only a very generous incentive, but I think you're helping find the exact type of people. So there's a hook in that I'm seeing, because you're very specific about who is going to open these franchises, and they've got to be mirroring all of your philosophies and the way you treat customers, and just that genuine authenticity. And that's hard to find. So I think it's wonderful that you're offering this. This is tremendous. I so enjoyed spending time with you today, Gregoire.
Thank you, Sam. Likewise.
I wish you all the best of success in the future, and I can't wait to share this episode. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. I really appreciate talking to you. You're a really good host, and it was a pleasure, really.
My
and I
pleasure.
love the cat.
Well, the cat's name is Sassy because she's got a little bit of attitude.
That's good.
And she doesn't like anybody in the house except me, and she hates the dog, and she's got attitude, and she doesn't like to be touched or pet, but she'll sit all over me, and I can pet her all day long in the studio. So that's Sassy. But thank you.
Well, thank you. It was a nice addition.
That was the Restaurant Rockstars Podcast. Thank you so much, audience, for tuning in. Can't wait to see you next time. Stay well and stay tuned. Thank you so much, Gregoire. One of the things I love most about this business are the interesting people that I meet, and those that have a passion for hospitality and great food, and for running businesses, not necessarily running restaurants. And you certainly are running a business, and you have very interesting backstory growing up in France and your early influences, and then your experience in multiple parts of the world, working as a banquet chef and working in the hotel space, and then coming up with the brainchild for Gregoire and now franchising it after coming up with a really interesting signature dish. So what a great episode this was. Thanks so much for being with us. I'm always appreciative of my audience for tuning in. It's growing, and people really give us great feedback on, all the lessons that we bring them, and just all the best practices of what interesting people in the business are doing in our industry. So thank you for tuning in and listening. Can't wait to share the next episode with you. So we'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to the Restaurant Rockstars Podcast. For lots of great resources, head over to restaurantrockstars.com. See you next time.